Hi, in this video, I'll be ranking each Forsaken Sentinel survivors stuns. I'll go over the requirements to access your stunning ability. I'll also be going over on how to use your stun effectively, and also some flaws with the stunning ability. If you somehow don't know what a Sentinel survivor is, then I'll tell you a short summary. It's a type of survivor that can stun the killer. That's it. So here's the tier list. I'll tell you my ranking after I'm done talking about a Sentinel. Let's now get into the rankings.
At songwriter.net, thank you.
First on the list is Guest 1337. Guest has a requirement to access your stun ability. In order to access your stunning ability is to use the block ability. When a killer uses a melee attack while you're blocking, then you can access the punch ability, like this. Your punch ability is your stun, where you do a short wind up before doing a small dash to punch the killer, like this. Now, my thoughts on Guest 1337. I don't think Guest stun is not that good. First of all, his requirement to access the punch ability is very annoying sometimes. Sometimes there's a noob that's easily predictable, so you can easily block and punch them, while sometimes a killer can predict your block, so you'll miss your opportunity to access your punch, and you'll get damaged to death or take a lot of damage. Or when you punch, sometimes you can miss your punch when you're trying to stun a killer, when someone is getting chased, or when you're getting chased and you're trying to stun the killer to get away. The killer could sometimes just dodge the punch because of the kinda long wind up that some killers can just notice and dodge. I don't have an example, but you should understand what I'm talking about. The effective ways I can think of getting your block and landing your punches is when a Jason is using a gashing wound on someone. You can just walk in the gashing wound while blocking, and then later you could punch the killer. It's sometimes easy to punch a killer when someone is getting chased. You just gotta position yourself good, or try to get your punch ability when someone is getting chased, and then punch them later. Guest can sometimes be easily block baited. One time, blocked baited a guest when I was killer, and I block baited and killed them. They were milestone 4, by the way. It just shows that Guest stun and his requirement to get your stun is not that good. Also to the pro Guest 1337 players, your skill doesn't apply to my ranking, so I'll give him a C tier. His stun and his requirement to get your stun is not that good. Let's get on to the next ranking. Second on the list is 2-Time. 2-Time is pretty interesting. 2-Time has an ability called Dagger. This ability makes 2-Time pull out the Ghost Fire Dagger to do a very quick stab, although it doesn't lunge you forward. But if you use the Crouch ability and you use the Dagger ability while you're in crouch, then you can do a very short wind up before lunging pretty far. There is a requirement to stunning, but technically not. And when I mean by technically, I mean by you have to do something in order to access and use your stunning ability. 2-Time can use his stunning ability, but he can't stun the killer without doing something. In order to stun the killer, you have to stab them in the back, like this. Now, my thoughts on 2-Time. I think his stun is pretty good, but pretty hard to land. The only good opportunity to backstab the killer is when someone is getting chased. Using the Crouch, then Dagger, makes it a little bit easier to backstab the killer while someone is getting chased. Another way of backstabbing is when the killer is mobilized, when they're doing an ability. For example, when 1x1x1x1 uses Mass Infection, Entanglement, and Hell, maybe even Unstabilize, you could easily land a backstab on 1x1x1x1 if you're fast enough to land a backstab while he's using the abilities I just listed earlier, like this. You can also backstab John Doe when he uses corrupt energy. Just hope John Doe doesn't turn around, since sometimes you could miss your backstab because of that. You could also land a backstab on Cool Kid if he uses pizza delivery, but you have to be really fast, since the pizza bots could just attack you when you're too slow and you'll miss. Another way to land backstabs is when you do some sick tricks and techs. This is the only example of a sick trick I have.
I feel no pain.
There's also other tech you can do to land a backstab while getting chased. I don't have an example for this, and plus, I haven't done it since it's too risky and you can easily miss when trying to do the tech. Backstabs are hard to land since you could miss or land a regular stab instead of a backstab. 2 times stun is good, but it's just pretty hard to land, and you could miss or land a regular stab when you're trying to land a backstab. As much as I like reworked 2 times, and I got level 100 on him, I'll give him B tier. His stun is good, but hard to land. Let's go on to the next ranking. Third on the list is Shedletsky. This might be quick, but I don't know. Shedletsky's stun is actually pretty good, since there's no requirement to get your stunning ability or a requirement to stun the killer. Let's talk about his ability now. Shedletsky has a stunning ability called Sword. This ability makes you pull out the linked sword and you do a swing with the sword and then a slash, but you don't lunge and you're extremely slow while using your sword. These downsides lead to problems, but also good uses for your stun ability. Let's talk about the bad stuff first. First of all, it's pretty hard to stun the killer while someone's getting chased. Some killers can just move away from your sword swing or outrun it. Or a Jason could notice the loud sound from the sword and just use raging pace to counter your stun. Here's an example. Shedletsky's sword also has a short range, which sometimes makes it harder to stun the killer. Shedletsky's sword also has a loud sound when he pulls out the sword. He does have the linked sword. So I can see why this loud sound leads to problems. Some killers can somehow notice when you use your sword because of the loud sound, and then the killer can just move away from the stun. Then later, they'll use their best move if it's not on cooldown, or just damage you. And by the way, Shedletsky's sword ability doesn't have invincibility frames, so a killer can just damage you while you're slow from the sword ability. But that doesn't mean Shedletsky's stunning ability is terrible, since there's stuff that you can do to make Shedletsky's stun good. There's a pretty simple and effective trick you can do while you're getting chased. You can use your sword ability and turn around to face the killer, then you can stun them, like this. You can also still stun a killer when someone is getting chased. It's just pretty hard to do. You just have to position yourself good to land a hit, or just hope the killer doesn't move away from you. You can also hide behind a wall, then wait for a killer to come close, then you try to stun them. I don't recommend doing this though, since sometimes it's very avoidable to some killers and they can just move away or outrun it. Shedletsky's stunning ability is good. The only downsides are very short range and the very loud sound when using the sword ability. The sound, I think, doesn't really matter. You have to do techs and other stuff in order to stun with your sword ability effectively. So I'll give his stun an A tier. Very cool. I don't know what to say. Let's move on to the final ranking.
Plug!
Fourth and final on the list is Chance. Chance's stunning ability is long range and luck based. Let's talk about his stun ability. Chance has an ability called Shoot, where you pull out a flintlock, and then you pull the trigger, and shoot. There is a requirement to access your stun ability, but is kinda complex, but I'll try to explain it. Chance has an ability called Coin Flip. If your coin lands on heads, you can access your flintlock ability, and a charge. I'll talk about charges later, but if your coin lands on tails, then you get weakness and nothing else. So you have to gamble for your stunning ability, aka the flintlock ability. The flintlock ability is also luck-based. When you use the flintlock ability, it could do these three things, which are: the flintlock could fire, the flintlock could malfunction and not shoot, or it could explode and you take a lot of damage. I also forgot to mention that if you use your flintlock ability, you are really slow, and you're slow for a bit after you pull the trigger. Anyway, let's talk about the charges. I said earlier, charges are very useful, since they can give you a better chance to fire successfully, without it not going off, or exploding, depending on how much charges you have. In order to get a charge, you have to use Coin Flip, and it has to land on heads. You can only get 3 charges. If you have 1 charge, then you have a 50% chance of firing the flintlock, a 25% chance of the flintlock not firing, and a 25% chance of the flintlock exploding. Never get only 1 charge. The odds are trash. If you get 2 charges, then you have a 70% chance of firing the flintlock, a 15% chance of the flintlock not firing, and a 15% chance of the flintlock exploding. You shouldn't use 2 charges. If you're maybe in a rush to get your flintlock ability, then maybe you can use it, but I don't recommend. If you get 3 charges, then you get a 90% chance of firing your flintlock, a 5% chance of the flintlock not firing, and a 5% chance of the flintlock exploding. You need to use 3 charges, because the flintlock successfully firing with 3 charges is basically a guaranteed shot, but the flintlock not firing or the flintlock exploding could still happen, but it's just a low chance of that happening. Finally, enough talking about the ability. Oh my god, that was long. I'll talk about the bad stuff first. I'll make this quick, since there's not that much. Since the flintlock is luck-based, very unlucky scenarios could happen, even if you have 3 charges. If you try to stun the killer while someone is getting chased, or if you're getting chased, then the flintlock could just not fire or explode. If you try to stun the killer while someone is getting chased, and then those bad stuff from your flintlock, then you should be fine, except for the flintlock exploding. Then you're not fine. Or if your flintlock fails or explodes while you're getting chased, then you might be cooked. Another problem is you have to land your shots good. It's not really a problem, but I'll talk about it anyway. If you miss your shot when you're trying to stun the killer while someone getting chased, then you'll look goofy. Or if you miss your shot with the flintlock while you're getting chased, then you're cooked. That's all I got for the bad stuff about using the flintlock ability. Chance's stunning ability is really great as long as you have good aim, and good luck when you have 3 charges. He also has extremely long range, and that's really great. The best way to use your stun ability is to shoot the killer when someone is getting chased, like this. You could try to shoot the killer while you're getting chased, but sometimes the killer could dodge, or you miss, but it is a pretty good method. Another method you could do is to shoot the killer while they're mobilized from doing an ability. For example, when 1x1x1x1 uses mass infection, entanglement, or unstabilize, you can get an easy stun with the flintlock ability if the killer uses an ability that makes them stand still. You can also get an easy shot with the flintlock on John Doe if he uses corrupt energy or digital footprint. You can also get an easy shot on Cool Kid with the flintlock when Cool Kid is using pizza delivery. Not only you're saving your teammates from killers at a long range, you can also save yourself from killers at a long range. And there's not really any risk from stunning the killer when someone is getting chased or if you're getting chased. The only risk is horrible aim and your flintlock exploding or not firing. If you get 3 charges, then your luck should be fine. Chance doesn't really have that much flaws with his stunning ability, besides the things I said earlier. A long-range stun is pretty good, so I'll give his stun S tier. A very long-range stun is very useful for the team and yourself. Let's get into the outro now. Thank you guys for watching the video to the end. Let me know what your ranking is, or if you disagree with my rankings. Be nice about it in the comments if you disagree with my rankings. Remember that this video is talking about Sentinel Survivors stun ability S.So don't talk about anything other ability the Sentinels have. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope the next video doesn't take too long to make. Also give me constructive criticism.So and improve on my videos. Alright, goodbye.